Hey everyone, what's up? Welcome back to the podcast. We're in just a bit of a different setup today. I thought we would, maybe get a little bit more cozy, a little bit more intimate. I quit my job, so I just have so much free time, and I just feel almost a bit more free. So I thought I would kind of just bring you into my space a little more, kind of open that up. And because usually I'm just over at my desk, and I don't even know if I've made an episode since we've lived here yet. I know Tesla Talks was here. That was out there. Anyway, I am just so excited to be here, and really just sit down and really have a conversation, because usually it's just in the little desk, in the little corner, you kind of just get that one perspective. But I thought, I'm just at a point where I just thought it would be really good to kind of show you guys a different perspective. I think what I want to talk about today is really just something that I think a lot of people can miss, and I want to address the elephant in the room, and I hope I'm not going to be barking up the wrong tree when I say this, but I've had a lot of time to kind of, just get my ducks in a row. And really, honestly, I'm just at a point where I'm just done with the monkey business, I'm just done with those types of things. And, and it wasn't something I wanted to quit cold turkey, but I really ended up doing that because I got to the point where I was running around like a chicken with my head cut off, I've kind of just been a fly on the wall for some of these types of conversations, like what I want to talk about today. But I just wanted to give you something that was straight from the horse's mouth and not just from anyone else. Let's just get the ball rolling. I'm just going to go ahead and bite the bullet and get this all out there. I think a lot of times when you're kind of doing something and you really are just always putting your best foot forward and you're always trying to give it your best shot and you just never quite hit the mark, and honestly, it's really just getting into these things where, I'm doing my part, then I'm putting the ball back in their court, and I've got my skin in the game, I'm just ready to go. I'm ready to go to bat at these types of things, but it's almost like you kind of just get to that point where it's like you're walking on eggshells and almost like walking on a tightrope with some of these things. And I'm not really a person to want to take sides, I'm always just, I'm just that type of person who can really see both sides to things, and I think a lot of times that is a blessing and a curse. Here I am, just bare bones today, open book today, because I really just want to be able to get this off my chest and share my truth with you guys, because I think that some of you will be able to relate. So I think a lot of times in life we kind of get in these things that are so hard and are so difficult, and you're just trying, and every time it's just like you're pulling teeth, and it's just so hard for no reason, requiring all this effort, and it's just like, when can I get a break? There's just those type of people where I think you just have to keep them at an arm's length for just your mental health and your safety and what's best for you. And it's just so refreshing to know that I'm not alone in this, because I have had the chance to pick several people's brains about this, and it's really just one of those things where I've honestly had to play it by ear, because you just never know. A lot of times these things can be so unpredictable, like where you stick your neck out and it's just not being reciprocated, you're just not getting what you think or what you expect out of situation. And there's a lot of times where I've kind of just been out of my space. I've gone to their neck of the woods, and it's really come to stab me in the back a lot of times. And I really am someone to give you the benefit of the doubt. And even if I don't understand something, even if I have to put a pin in it for now and come back to it later, I really, when I want to get to the bottom of something, like I will be the one to reach out and just put myself out there. When I circle back and I come back to these situations and I come back to these things and I really approach someone like, hey, I really want to touch base on this, you just have to be able to find those things that really are up your alley and really do help you in finding that new perspective, and I think that's just so important, because a lot of times, you really just don't know, you really don't. And honestly, okay, I'm just gonna cut to the chase here. I'm done with all the mumbo jumbo. I've been in those places where I've just had to really just blow off some steam, and I think when I do that, a lot of times I do feel a lot better about the situation, but even then, I don't, if I'm being honest. If I am taking a step, and not really taking a step back like we've talked about in the past, but even just taking a step forward, because it's almost like, when you think about it, a lot of times I feel like it's just 3 steps forward, 1 step back, and I'm kind of just in this back and forth place, and it can be frustrating, it really can be frustrating when you're pitching in, you're doing all you can, you're doing your part, and others aren't, and you really feel like you have to pick up the slack, and that can be frustrating. It really can be frustrating when you've really just put that elbow grease in and really just done all you can, and you're not trying to twist anybody's arm, you're not trying to make anybody do something that they don't want to do, but at the end of the day, a lot of times you just feel like you lose your touch on something, and it's just not the same, and I feel like that's kind of where I've gotten in a lot of these situations, because really, whenever you want to get over something, you really just have to be okay with things being up in the air. You really do. And it's a lot of times it's unsettling. A lot of times it's just not what you want it to be. I've heard a lot of these rags to riches stories, and it's true. Like, not all of us are born with a silver spoon in our mouth. I'm someone who I just never want to be close-fisted on those types of things. I really just open heart, open hands, open mind, open perspective, open life. You really just have to keep your head held high. You have to keep your chin up, You have to kind of just get to the point where you're just finding your feet, You're looking around for them. And not everything is a piece of cake, And even though I am on the couch right now, I just had to get to the point where I couldn't be a couch potato anymore. And here's some food for thought. If I could just throw this out there. A general rule of thumb for me is whenever I don't know for sure, and that happens a lot, if I'm being honest, whenever I don't know for sure, I know I just can't butter someone up. I know I just have to, I really just have to know that this is so hard to say. How do I say this? in situations like I've been talking about, like I mentioned, there are going to be a few bad apples along the way, and that's okay. But I think that's when we realize that the grass isn't always greener on the other side. But once we get there, we come out better. And I always heard it say, like, a lot of times you feel like you're in the calm before the storm, but what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. It really does. It really does. It really does. And I mean, honestly, looking back, every cloud has a silver lining. It really does. And a lot of these things come up and it's just so unexpected. It's like these once in a blue moon things that happen. And, I really think that if we just want to get into deep water for a second, if we really just want to go there, if we can really just have that honest, candid conversation, I really feel like a lot of times you just have to go with the flow. Wherever the wind blows is where I'm going to be, and I can't make a mountain out of a molehill. Even when you feel like you're on the tip of the iceberg, there's a fly. Gosh. Even in those times where you feel like you're on the tip of the iceberg, you really just have to walk over it. Keep walking. Keep taking it one step at a time. And I think ultimately when we do those types of things in these situations, that really, honestly, it allows us to be the best versions of ourselves, I feel like. We really do kind of get to see that perspective, not only based on the way we approach certain situations, but the way others approach certain situations too. And I just think that's so important, it really is so important. So I'm glad we got to talk about this, because I feel like this is really just something that a lot of people just don't want to talk about. And a lot of people really, really just are just hiding about these types of things. So I'm just really thankful to have a space where we can have these open, honest conversations that ultimately just help us to be stronger in this life, and just to be able to move forward and kind of get to the point where we know we've got some skin in the game and we know we're at a good spot. And I really think it's super helpful when we get there. So thank you. I really am just, thank you guys so much for tuning in. I know this may have been a longer episode, but I'm really excited to be back in a new space. And I really hope that this episode was helpful. I really hope it got you thinking some. And if you have any thoughts, if you have any questions, please just leave it in a comment, because I really think that when you share just kind of just what's on your heart and like what you're thinking, and then conversations form around that, I really think that those are the types of situations where, we really see that change. So that's just where I'm at. I just wanted to kind of bring you guys in, give you the inside scoop on what's been going on with me. And I really hope that it was helpful for you guys. So, let us know. Let us know what you wanna hear, what you wanna see talked about in the next episode. And we'll see if I like what you say. So we'll see you guys. Bye.